Welcome to Ask the Hiring Manager. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Hiring Manager. Today, I have a very special guest with us, Steve Schankman. Steve is CEO and founder of Contemporary Productions, a leading event management and entertainment booking company based in St. Louis, Missouri, that at its height has achieved revenues of $150 million. With over 50 years of experience in the industry, Steve has built a reputation for producing high-profile events and securing top-tier talents for his clients. Additionally, Steve produces Evolution Festival, which generates millions to the St. Louis economy each year. His deep industry connections and passion for music have been instrumental in the company's continued success as he works to bring people together through the power of live entertainment. I'm so excited to have you here today, Steve.
Well, I'm excited too because we're both musicians and share St. Louis as our hometown.
And so I'll jump right in. You've had an extremely successful career in entertainment, which is not easy to achieve. Can you share how you first got started in the entertainment industry?
Well, I come from a family of musicians. My grandfather on both sides, actually, my mother's father, Meyer Stone, although his real name was Rupstein, he came from the Ukraine. And at a young age, maybe at 12 or 13, when I started playing the trumpet, he told me that he was a bugler for the Tsar of Russia in the 1890s and then left Russia because being of Jewish origin had to get out of that country as Russia took over and moved over to St. Louis. He actually worked at the World's Fair, but he actually played the bugle on horseback for the Tsar of Russia. My grandfather on the other side was an accomplished violinist, saxophonist, because back in the 30s, doubling was very important because some gigs didn't have strings, so he also played the saxophone. And he, as my father, Leon Shankman, both were symphony musicians. My grandfather was in the Philharmonic, and my dad was in the St. Louis Symphony for almost 35 years. So music was in the air, as they say. And I started my first band when I was 14 years old because playing the trumpet at home didn't make me any money. And growing up in the house of a musical family, there wasn't a lot of money there. And there were three of us besides my parents. So I started the Esquires when I was 14 years old as a four-piece band playing mostly weddings and bar mitzvahs and little outings that could score us as much as $50 for the gig, enough to buy
Wow.
pizza and beer afterwards.
I'm curious what led you to launch Contemporary Productions.
What got Contemporary on the map was we first had a company called Continental Entertainment Associates. And that company basically was booking bands, not only in St. Louis, but because Watts Lines, which is known as what back then as wide area telecommunications, you could have zones. So zone one was Missouri, but zone two was another 10 states. So we literally were booking bands in 11 states. There were three of us back then, myself, Irv Zuckerman, and the late, just recently, Steve Madison. And being a union musician from the time I was 16, I was able to find the unions in every major city, whether Wichita, Kansas, or Springfield, Illinois, or Louisville, Kentucky. And I would reach those bands by letter and said, if you would like to join Continental Entertainment Associates, send me a tape, which back then was like a reel to reel of one or two songs. And we need an 8x10 picture in this format so we could put that out as when they had an 8x10 glossy, it would say booked by Continental Entertainment Associates and Steve Schankman, president, or whatever it said on there. So we
Sure.
were the largest booking agency in the 60s. Probably to this day, I don't know any agency that has 1,100 acts on it. But again, they were local acts. So somebody would call from Bird City, Kansas, and I'd book a band from Wichita. Or if they called from Lincoln, Illinois, I'd book a band from Springfield. But all these bands were on a roster, non-exclusive. But still, some of these bands became REO Speedwagon and Danny Fogelberg. And I don't think the Eagles back in those days, a band called The Guild, which was Michael McDonald's band that I would sit in occasionally. So after, I would say, a couple of years, we started getting calls for national artists. We had a college in Illinois, upstate Illinois. We want CTA. Well, CTA in 1970 was Chicago Transit Authority. And for whatever, $7,500, I think was the price, we booked them and they had a concert and they charged like $3 a ticket. And I said, well, we ought to do this ourselves. And that's how we birthed Contemporary Productions, which was the concert company. So Continental was booking local bands.
Hmm.
At one time, we had 6 or 7 agents. And then we had Contemporary Productions, which was producing concerts, which at one point, Head East, which was one of the bands we were booking, became a national artist when we signed them to A&M Records. So we were the booking agent, we were the manager. We then had the publishing companies. That one was, I think, Zook Shank Music. My partner was Zuckerman. I'm Shankman. Easy names to get approved pretty quick. And then
Right.
we had another group, yeah, Star Castle, which was kind of a Yes type of act. And we got them on the Epic label, and they were publishing company with Sun Singer, which was kind of cooler. So booking bands, producing concerts for colleges, some high
Mhm.
schools, then producing bands in concert for our own needs, shows. And then that got us into management and recording and all those other things, all within about 10 years. My first concert
Wow.
being in 69 with the Grateful Dead at the Fox Theater.
How cool. What core services does Contemporary Productions currently provide?
Well, then we have to go back to 98. So this conglomerate of great companies, which I would say we were a vertically integrated company. We book bands, we produce concerts, we own a ticket company called Capital Tickets. We were one of the top two spectaculars in America. SRO was one. We were United Sports of America. I always named our companies. And I thought United Sports of America with Robbie Knievel and Bigfoot and all these other crazy trucks would be the way to go. Just like Contemporary Productions in 68 is still a valid name in 2024. We still have the same name. We have to talk about 1998 because we had several suitors. Mike Milken was first to buy us. Hard Rock tried to buy us, and we actually sold the 98 to SFX, which was Robert FX Sellerman. And what he did is bought many promoters that had either amphitheaters or venues like us. We had Riverport Amphitheater in St. Louis that we opened in 91. We had Sandstone Amphitheater in Kansas City. We had the Westport Theater in St. Louis, the American Theater, which was a theatrical theater in St. So we were great for the buying. Matter of fact, I think we were the second largest purchase that SFX made. So for 2 years, my company events division, which was international. We did the Super Bowl halftime show with U2, the Pope in 98, a papal visit to St. Louis, 110,000 people at the Dome,
Wow.
which I think is still the largest indoor papal visit. And we did all this for 2 years. And the good news came in 2000 when in USA Today, an article on the life section featured fourth items that were done by SFX, three of which were contemporary items.
Hmm.
I think the Pope, USA Sports, and one other. And what it was Clear Channel Entertainment bought SFX. So a roll-up was now bought by a very big entertainment conglomerate called Clear Channel Communications, both in radio and in billboards. And that ended up becoming Live Nation, which is the company that now owns the assets of what I had back in the days, back in 98. So
Wow.
what we do now is your question. So what do we do? We have a couple things that we do. One, we're an entertainment leader. So we have a lot of clients that book entertainment from us. It could be a hospital like Cardinal Glennon, who had Zach Brown last year at the Chaifetz Arena in St. Louis for a fundraiser, or it could be Disney Music booking us out in California, doing a birthday party for Al Roker in New York. He had Earth, Wind, and Fire, and we also handled the party and the production. Or it could be a company like Stiefel. We do their events every year. But besides just booking entertainment, which they've had a lot of great speakers, mostly from DC, but also some sports speakers as well. But we will also do their sound, their lights, their video, their scripting, teleprompters, all the things that go into a business meeting. And then in some cases, like Worldwide Technology, we'll even score the hotel rooms and handle all the meeting rooms and the food, the beverage,
Oh,
and the
wow.
internet catch and registration. I mean, our skills in doing events, from doing all those concerts, from ballrooms to ballparks. I mean, We're getting ready to do the inauguration of Mike Kehoe as governor, and we'll do some events in the rotunda in the state capitol, but there's also an event at one of the hotels. So I like to say we do events from ballrooms to ballparks because we've done a lot of concerts from U2, Super Jams, Elton John, the face-to-face Elton and Billy in stadiums, not only in St. Louis, but around the country. Arrowhead in Kansas City was one of my biggest shows. I think it had the record until Taylor Swift, and that was the Eagles. I think we had done more
Wow.
people. I think it was close to 60,000. And like in everything else, Miss Swift has topped everybody's numbers
Oh,
everywhere
yeah.
worldwide. So that's what we do: entertainment, production, a lot of business meetings, a lot of galas for charities. I love to raise money for charities. I was the head of Variety Club's gala and telethon for 19 years, the zoo 7 years. So we really like to do things that create value to a company, an institution's event, not just another chicken sandwich. We come up with food ideas and food stations. Part of my company does decor. So it's, we like to say from soup to nuts. There's not anything we really can't do, even including product demonstrations, activations, which we've done for people like AT&T and
Oh,
CBS.
great.
So a big national scope of clients from all kinds of companies and again, and charities as well.
Great. I love them because, and I like the from ballrooms to ballparks. I think is the statement you use. That's great. And because you do so many aspects within the event management and kind of booking space, I'm curious, what are the key functions and departments within contemporary productions?
We're departmentalized. On my side of the office is our booking division. So you have everybody from Jeff Jarrett, who's my senior vice president. He's in charge of all national booking. You also have Brad Baker. He's been here 15 years, in charge of all regional booking, sometimes national, but it's usually worked through Jeff. And then booking agents, for example, Gretchen sits there. She's been with me a long time too. And she worked her way up from being an administrative person to being a senior booking agent, and she books my band, the Fabulous Motown Review. So I'm sitting with three advance sheets right now, which include two balls: the VP ball in St. Louis, which is the biggest ball and
Mm.
probably one of the 5 or 6 in the country, comparable to New York or New Orleans or LA. The Fleur de Lis, which is the Catholic ball, which follows that a week later. And then our New Year's Eve gig. So the Fabulous Motown Review has 3 gigs that are booked by her, or at least handled by her. Somebody else could book it. And then also on my side, besides the booking department, we have our admin department, which runs the company. And I like to be on the same side as them because that would be our chief accountant, our senior bookkeeper, our director of admin, who's one of our 5 directors that serve on the directors committee. And those are the people that sit here as well. So finance, HR, all happens on my side. On the opposite side of our office is our event division. So these are people that either are production people that understand the sound, the lights, tents, outdoor, got to build a road, got to have a generator, sanitation, all those items that come under production, sound, lights, videos, the main stuff, and then it spans out. We have those type of people, and then we have our event, what we call project managers, and they're either project manager or senior project manager or the director of event management. So they handle all the like with this inauguration coming up, the linens, the tables, the bunting, where production handles the stage, the sound, the lights, and they all work together with the client as a team. So if it's just entertainment and we're just booking it, production handles it. But if it's got an event surrounded with it, like take Stiefel, not only do they have the entertainment for a party, but they also may have a lot of production for their event, which has to have a project manager. So a team is usually an event person, which is the project manager, a production person, and the client contact. So it may be me. It could be my wife, Katie, who also sells business for us and has for a long time. It could be Brad Brown, who's our senior VP of sales. It just depends who sells it, but the team is a minimum usually of 2 or 3. But sometimes, like with the festival, I got 18 people from here working on that. So it
Yeah.
just depends on the scope of work that we have to do. But those are the type of jobs here. I didn't mention creative. We also have a creative department, and Mike Campbell, who's my senior VP of creative, builds the deck to make the business happen or to engage the business, and then we go on to fulfilling on what our ideas, which have to always tie in. We always ask the client what they want to do, and then if we have some ideas, we bring those in, and that way the client has their stamp on it.
I love that. I love that. And because we are on Ask the Hiring Manager, of course, I'm going to ask some hiring related questions. The first is, what is the hiring process like for candidates who apply to Contemporary Productions?
Well, we use some of those internet sources, that people, put their name up on. I
Like
forget.
Indeed and
That's it. Yeah, the
yes.
free. That's the free one. But sometimes we'll use a headhunter executive. I don't know what they call them. We used to call them headhunters.
Yeah,
I mean,
recruiter.
yeah, recruiters. But we have a couple of people came through recruiters. But a lot of time it's word of mouth. We put it up on our site. I mean, if there's a job opening right now, people can go to contemporaryproductions.com and it'll say what jobs are available. We have kind of an employee referral program. Lots of times our employees know other people. I think we have a situation like that here now, that somebody had worked with somebody and knew her very well. And boy, we like to hire people that other people know. But pretty much conventional ways. And then it depends what department. So if it's going to be in events, then the director of events, Kelsey Vaughn, would be there, probably with somebody else from the department. Is the first screening. Well, we screen obviously big time the resume, but sometimes I tell them to look for things that aren't, you know, necessary or exactly what we're looking for. I like multitask people. You read my resume. I'm a CEO and I'm a sales guy. So I mean, CEOs don't always sell. Sometimes CEOs are HR people. Sometimes CEOs are more accounting, type. I mean, so look for non-traditional things in their work background. Also, you got to look for achievements. I mean, have they moved up the ladder? How long have they been at jobs? Again, even if they moved and they have a good reason, if we invite them in, because if they meet our requirements, we don't not see them. It's not, we don't have AI. So I know at
Yeah.
big companies, AI throws all these out.
Yeah.
I go a little overboard carefully in the interview. I want to know their hobbies and I want to know what they do for fun. And I try to get the family idea out there without asking them how many kids they have, because I don't
Right.
think that I wouldn't hire you because you have a family. Because I'm a family guy with, as you know, very young children.
You're so cute.
So, I like to be, insightful. I like to never, I look for potential. I like, and even at my age now and my years of doing this, I like to build people. And a lot
Mhm.
of times it becomes the Brad Bakers that are still here or others.
Uh-huh.
Resumes are one thing, and finding people's potential and what they've accomplished and their achievements, not only in their job, but I love people that have been in band or choir, uh,
Mhm.
have a legal background. Their undergraduate was this, they got an MBA now, but they really care about people and human services, charities. I mean, I asked everybody in my company to volunteer for a charity, and
Hmm.
many do. And I think it's just important to always give back because that's what my life's been all about.
Well, I know you kind of hit on some of these things, but I'd like to ask explicitly, what do you look for in a candidate, both from their resume and during an interview?
Well, we're in what we call a fast-paced business. This isn't sitting at a computer all day. It's not data entry. I mean, there's nothing wrong with those jobs, but unless you have some personality, unless you had some connection to entertainment, I don't care if you're an actress or an actor or you were in your school play, but have a little thirst for what we do here. Willing to work weekends. Events are usually on
Yeah.
weekends. They're long hours. Sometimes they're outdoors in the heat. Sometimes rain comes. I had a brand new person working for us on an event down at the Four Seasons. We were doing rappelling for a company off the top floor of the hotel, and the rain broke out, and everything that you had planned changed because there were a lot of movements that we had to do now because of tents flying and people not being able to drop off the side of the building safely. So
Wow.
it's a person that's quick on their feet usually. Creative people are creative people, admin are admin. I like to hire people that kind of are nice and fun to be around. I hire people that I would work for. I
Hmm.
mean, if it's a person that has charisma and can do the job and has done things similar, and I think I could work for that person. I have numerous people here that I know if the job's reversed, like Joy, my assistant, she was perfect for me because within 3 weeks of her week at working for me, she was producing not big events, but small events.
Hmm.
Ones with 100 people. I need tables and linens and centerpieces and look at the menus and work with the hotel, which she'd done for 10 years, and understand, what a rooming list is and a block. But the answer to your question is I hire people that I would work for.
I like that. I like that.
Also, I don't like to rush to hire the wrong person. I know when there's needs and we see somebody we like, but we got to check the references. Sometimes we test people. We put them in front of a second group. Like I said, if it's a event person, they start out with maybe two event people, and then they maybe bring the creative person in, or maybe just one of the project managers just to get a feel. If it's admin, it's obviously going to be me and Jess because Jess is director of admin. But we may want to bring in our top a chief accountant because people got to work together. I like people's buy-in. I like people to ask the question that I'm not going to ask. I don't control when I'm brought in, and I'm the third stage. So if they get past one, and then they add some people on, and then I'm the third stage. At the big company, I wasn't even involved in 50% of the people that were hired because they were
Yeah.
hired in other offices, Atlanta, Kansas City, or
Hmm.
in New York, which was our biggest office. Not as big as St. Louis, but the biggest on the satellite offices. So again, if it's a leadership job, I ask the questions about leadership. If it's a customer service, I said, who do you follow on the internet? Who do you like to listen to when you listen to people that have written books? I mean, who is your guru to go to on customer service? Uh,
Sure.
I like to know who their likes are in entertainment. What was your first concert? Who do you like to see? What was your last concert? What kind of music do you like? Some of those are icebreakers. So then I can really ask some questions that are not trick questions, but I can find out a little bit more about their personality. And
Yes.
I'm a personality interview. I'm an entertaining interviewer because, like I said, I care about what do you like for dinner. I mean, I do that just to get a feel. But if they say
Yeah.
they're a vegetarian or dairy free, like my wife, that's okay. It's not about the question; it's about the way they react to it. Well, she feels a little put off by that question about what they like to eat for dinner. You know,
Right.
no, I'm not. It's not a trickster because I want the best people, and I'm not going to alienate somebody that I think is going to be really, really best. And truthfully, when it comes down to it,
Yes.
trust your gut. Trust
Yes.
your gut. Go. I'll say to one of my people that are looking to hire somebody, you gave me all your reasons for, you gave me your reasons against, your pros and cons. But what is your gut saying? Do you feel good when you're with this person? You know, you could say, well, I didn't like the way she was dressed. Okay. She can't afford a nicer outfit because we're very casual. I mean, I put this jacket on for you today. Otherwise, I got blue tennis shoes on. I mean, the world has
Yeah.
changed. Sometimes I do ask their opinion now about work from home, but we have
Yes.
a very liberal policy here. We got rid of comp time. Comp time was if you work a weekend, take a couple of weekdays off because you got to do your laundry and buy your groceries. And it was hard to keep track of and how many. And then we got rid of vacations. You can go on vacation and take as long as you want. Now, your supervisor has to okay it. So if you got things going on and you go on vacation and you didn't get your work done, now we have a problem. Work
Yes.
from home. You want to work from home every Friday? No Fridays. Stay in the office every day. I got to be home because they're delivering a washer. My son is sick. I do really don't want to get. We're very liberal. And you know what? You find out, truthfully, more time is not taken than is taken. We have a very liberal, since my wife is involved in the company, we've changed our maternal leave, paternal leave.
Ah, love that.
Enjoy a few months because 2, 3 weeks, which we had for, I
Ooh.
mean, we were antiquated, we change. We don't
Yes.
we don't use the sentence, that's the way we've always done it. That is
Yes.
not allowed in my office. What's allowed in my office is what else can we do? Let's look at a different way. We've already explored this, Steve. What do you
Sure.
I love young people and working with young people. And I say that for all ages because I'm the oldest here.
I appreciate
So
I
everybody's young.
Yes, I appreciate that you mentioned several things that you're open to evolving, of not just because you're maybe older than a lot of your employees, but some people just aren't of any age necessarily flexible. So that's great that, as you mentioned, inspired by your wife as well, about changing the like medical leave, or if a woman just had a child, that policy, and just being open to ideas. I think it's really great. And one thing you mentioned earlier too about talking with like when you're interviewing someone, and that, like, what do you enjoy to eat? Just things that maybe some people that are hiring wouldn't ask, but knowing you personally, you do care. You're a very caring person, which sometimes you don't find. And then also, like you said, gauging the response and going with your gut. I do that too sometimes, when it's just like it's not about what you ask, or what they say in response, but it's just really about how did they respond, and how is this dynamic? So I 1000%
I don't want
understand.
somebody to lose the job because they come in here and they see my office and they see the Billy Joel contracts and YouTube
Yes,
and they've heard of me or the Contemporary. I don't want them to be nervous. So when I
sure.
see that, and I can sense it pretty, it's their foot's moving or you can see their,
Yeah.
and it's like, so let's stop talking about your past. What's your future? What do you want to do with your
Mhm.
life? What you want to do is events or what you want to sell. I want people that want to be here. Here's the one thing, and I really believe this. I really believe this. First of all, I'm too old to live anybody else's dream. So every day it's a dream for me. Number two, what we do here is what everybody else does for fun. So at Evolution Festival, when 20,000 people are having a great time, some of the people that you know and I know, this is what they're doing. This is
Yeah.
what they're doing. But my third thing is this. This is a partnership. I don't care if I'm hiring somebody to be a bookkeeper or the senior VP of a division. They're giving me of their life at least 40 hours a week, let's say, probably much more for some, probably not less for anybody. And they have a family or they have a boyfriend or girlfriend or a partner or whatever. So it really is a contract between two of us. And I want them to believe that I care as much about them taking this job as they do wanting the job. By the way, if you haven't researched my company and you show up for an interview, I'm probably not going to hire you
Yes.
because that really is that's a deal breaker. If you don't care
Right.
enough about who we are and you're just doing this because somebody said you ought to apply for the job, I probably don't have a long discussion with you. Now, I don't quiz you on it. I like when you to show me. And I've had this. I had one person show one time with papers like this, research.
Oh, wow.
And, now you could say, kind of gets them a point up on the ladder. But on the other hand, they really knew what goes on. They really knew.
Yes. Wow.
That's
That's
impressive to me. But anyway, the interview process, I enjoy it. In some ways, it's kind of a blessing and a curse because there are those people that you do want and you make them the offer, which I never do. That comes out of admin. And
sure.
you review it and they come back and don't accept the job. We've had several of those because young people are really shopping and a lot
Yes.
of shopping price. And I can only say this to your viewers if they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Another job, the grass is greener, right? Another job may pay salary more. What's their IRA contribution?
Hmm.
What are the benefits? I mean, we pay 90%. I used to pay 100% of people's health insurance. Now we don't pay the benefits for their spouses, but or partners or whatever way they're hooked up or kids, but we make it available at the whatever rate we pay. What is the bonus plan? In other words, if the company does well, do I get money or only my division? We do it company wide because everybody pulls for everybody, you know. And what are the offices like? We got great, the building I'm in. We got our own cafeteria. It's
Yeah.
30,000 square foot cafeteria. We got restaurants in
A
here.
great office.
Yeah, it's a great space and it's convenient in Clayton to Highway 40, Highway 70. You got to go down your checklist. We've had people that accepted other jobs within 2 weeks call us, is that job still open? Because
Wow.
sold by the interviewer on why they're the best place to go. And, you can make, you interview a contemporary, well, you'll never make as much there as you can make here. So it's not always the grass is greener. But if you just want to have a Zoom at home every day, and I mean, Joy's husband works at home every day on the computer, and certain kind of people, that's best for them. I like people in the office because I like the interaction, but they're
Absolutely.
not made to be in the office. You make it optional. And most people are here most of the time. And and we'll have a great celebration tomorrow of another great year, 56 years of doing this,
Oh,
and
congrats.
we're still having fun.
That's amazing. I like that you bring up also, that some job seekers so look at the salary, but like they won't consider other things, IRA or other, and total compensation, that's like a major thing that I think a lot of job seekers should think about. I have one of my partners and colleagues that I will refer people to and vice versa. He's a salary negotiator and he brings that up a lot. His name's John Gates. And a lot of people, they don't. They'll look at the salary, but maybe a company is offering a decent salary or an okay salary, but then maybe they're not offering other benefits that a company with maybe a slightly lower salary has those other benefits that actually in total value exceed the first. So I think that's a very important point that you
Right.
bring
I mean,
up as
when you
well.
pay for somebody's insurance,
Right.
they don't have to pay
They're
it
paying
after
out
their
of
money's
pocket.
taxed, right? And their IRAs are building, and we bring people in every year to try to get people to do the max. I'm doing a 4% match.
Yeah,
So if you're making 100,000, do 4 grand because that's eight. And with the stock
absolutely.
market the way it is, that eight could be $100,000 in 5 years. If you're
Absolutely.
in Nvidia and a few other good growing stocks. So yeah, it's also, but I love the questions. What's my chance after a certain amount of years of moving up? In other words, what's
Yeah.
my future with your company? Listen, we all know what's going on after COVID. The young people, the Xers or the Gen X, they're not staying as long at jobs as I told you about Jeff. He's been here 20 years, and I have other people that retired after 30 years. I mean, my
Wow.
former assistant, we agreed on retirement during COVID, and she's doing great. Talked to her this morning, and a lot of my employees come back.
Yeah.
That's what's really cool. They come back to work for me. The person running all my marketing is down in Naples, Florida. That's where she lives. Retired. She worked for General Foods. I hired her. She ran my marketing company in New York. Went on to own a third of that business, and when we sold, received a good chunk of money. But that's because she had a position as an owner, which is
Sure.
always better than just being a employee. Ownership and stock options in certain companies are worth more than the salary itself.
Absolutely.
And by the way, the people that aren't with me anymore are doing other things. One
Yeah.
works with Jerry Seinfeld, one works with Jeff Dunham, one runs the Fox Theater booking, one has a marketing company. So a lot of people that have left here, one runs United Center in Chicago, have stayed in the business. And you want to talk about going home and being delighted? That makes me feel good.
I love it. I love it. Is Contemporary Productions currently hiring, and what type of roles or candidates does Contemporary Productions need to propel the business forward?
I think we're still looking for another production manager. That's the people that handle the sound and the lights and all of that. And they do have contact with the client, but not as much because the project manager does that. So the production manager does that. I know we're looking for a junior salesperson, which means more local charities and organizations and hotel events and like that. And then we're making some switches, and I think we're going to look for another corporate salesperson for the bigger companies, not only in St. Louis, but throughout the country. There's a lot of companies that we've done business with that we haven't in recent times because they didn't come out of COVID yet, but they have now, and more business conventions and meetings are going on. And so there are, I think the website has a few things on it right now.
Great. And what's your website again? It's
Just contemporaryproductions.com.
com. Perfect, perfect. What would you say is a event or what stands out to you over the many years of doing this? I'm sure that's probably a long conversation, but if you were to pinpoint an event or project that you're super proud of for handling, what do
Well, I mean,
you
I just spoke to 40 members of EOs, which is Entrepreneur Organization, last week. So it's pretty much at the top of my brain. I mean, there's no doubt that doing the Pope from the standpoint of all the events at the cathedral, where I also met Rosa Parks.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was like 2 for 1 that day. I mean,
That's
Rosa
amazing.
Parks, I mean, to be able to hug that woman is something I will never forget. But I'll never forget the Pope. As a matter of fact, the fact that things happened that made everything easy for us from the standpoint of the weather changing and no crime in St. Louis. I mean, I started looking at the New Testament, to be truthful.
Right,
And
right.
as you know, I do practice multi religions.
I
I'm
love that.
currently doing the halftime show right after 9/11, and U2 was the band. which they hired, but we produced the halftime show. And the fact that we came up with the idea of the kabuki curtains that dropped
Mm,
from the sky, which had all the names of the people that perished, which was a little controversial, but it was all done in total respect.
yeah.
And certainly opening Riverport, my amphitheater in St. Louis, and
Mm,
June 14th, I think, of 91 with Steve Winwood. And then 2.5 weeks later, having the biggest riot in the country with Axl Rose, which is all on
wow.
YouTube. That was a highlight, a kind of a low light, but ended up being very successful in the end because Riverport became one of the best known amphitheaters in the country in like 2 minutes
Yeah.
on news, not only in this country, but in foreign countries. But certainly, just celebrating our 40th anniversary.
Yeah. That's a
We
huge
had a
accomplishment.
big party. I wrote a book with Dick Richmond,
Yeah.
and that got published, and everybody's name was in it, and that was a highlight. Um, it's just watching the people that have been here go on and do great things, and remember me, like the person who runs the amphitheater now. I hired her like 25 years ago, and now she's running the amphitheater.
Wow.
I mean, she was running the Westport with 1,000 seats, and now she's running the amphitheater in St. Louis. I think
Talk about full circle.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like people ask me my favorite concert. I usually do a Jay Leno answer, the ones I make money at. The ones I lose are not quite as popular. But
Oh,
that's it. It's a realm of things. The book sometimes is available on Amazon. I think you
yes,
have a copy of
I
it.
do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And be careful putting your book on Amazon because if I signed it, I may remember who you are.
Ah, there you go. Exactly. Exactly. Lastly, what advice would you give to someone who's interested in succeeding in the entertainment industry?
Well, I mean, again, if they were a musician or an actor or a singer or something in high school and college, that's always good. If they were on the concert committee at a college or was involved in booking shows, that's always good. If they took some music courses, not the applied music, but I'm talking about the business of music or marketing, or I've taught the course. I taught it at Webster, I taught it at the University of Missouri. But if they took a course similar to that, because there's a lot of music business. I have one here that's a music business major. So that's always good. If they have a good sales background, I don't care if they sold shoes, women's shoes especially. Men are usually a lot easier. They want 4 pair and it's a size. I mean, men are like, give me a size 11D. I'm
Guilty as
out the door.
charged.
I'm out the door. So any background in entertainment or events, there's a lot of people that really have workplaces where they're part of the event team, and that's really helpful. And accounting, whether they did accounting for music or events, I mean, yeah, if they came from our competitor and they know our business, that's great. But just people that aren't afraid to work, and
Yeah.
people afraid to learn, and people that are open to not only receiving but giving. I will listen to anybody's idea in this company at any time. I spent an hour with one of my employees, who's the most recent hire. He handles our DJs at our booking agency. I think I spent a half hour, 45 minutes hearing ideas from him and things about the company that he wanted to know. No one is too small in my company that my door is not always open to
I love
listen.
that.
And we allow people to come to our directors' meetings. If they want to come and attend and have some ideas or have something to bring up, we welcome that.
That's awesome. You've offered such great advice today. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I always enjoy conversation with you and also enjoyed it today. So thank you so much for being my guest, Steve.
Well, it's a pleasure. What you do is so helpful to people because they may be the best candidate and they can't write a resume. It's a pleasure to be with you. What you do is
Yeah.
essential to a lot of young people, especially out there, people changing jobs. And I look forward to seeing you in person.
Coming soon. Yes, absolutely. Again, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Of course, thanks to all our viewers and to everyone out there. Have a great week and stay tuned for the next episode of Ask the Hiring Manager. Bye.
See you later.
Welcome to Ask the Hiring Manager. I'm Leslie Hunter, president of Resume Makeover. I've been helping job seekers for nearly a decade to acquire their dream jobs and achieve the income they desire, from entry-level applicants to C-suite executives and everyone in between. From your resume to your cover letter, LinkedIn profile, bio, or website content, I'm here for you. And now I'm going to open the door and interview some of the top hiring managers so that you can have the insight that you need to book the jobs that you want. Welcome to Ask the Hiring Manager.